I'd like to give the government benefit of doubt. Because, look, we've got a responsibility to project hope. And Nigerians have got to believe that it's possible to come through this challenge. But the person we elected was the president. We did not elect the president's spokespersons. And when a country is in trouble, look, the example I gave is of a turbulent flight. So you are in the middle of clear air turbulence, and the aircraft is tossing up and down, and people are reaching for their prayer beads, right? And the Christians are screaming Holy Ghost fire, and the Muslims are screaming Allahu Akbar. Now, at that point in time, who is it you want to hear tell you what is happening? It's not the press secretary to the pilot. It is the pilot. It's not the press secretary to the captain. It is the captain of the aircraft. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what is happening. Nigerians are not hearing from the captain of the ship at the time they need to hear from him. And that is the challenge here. Why do Nigerians need to hear? The president sold a product to Nigerians. It's called integrity. And Nigerians bought it. And the president is the person that Nigerians trust to do something for them at this time, to reassure them. And somehow, some people seem interested in hiding the president from Nigerians. And so we're not hearing from the president, we're not seeing him, we're not getting the message that he feels our pain, and we keep getting the same spokespersons trotted out to say the same thing and to sell us some arrogance at some point. You know, the thing about power is that it's going to come and it will go. You'll have it for some time and then you will no longer have it. Sooner or later, in 4 years or 8, this dispensation will be over. And the same people who are running this thing will be on the streets just like you and I. And when that time comes, I just hope that they don't walk the streets and have smelly eggs thrown at them or tomatoes thrown at them or need protection from precisely the same situation that they're selling now. And I do think in a situation like this, the president should be the person telling Nigerians, this is the way I see it, and this is the pathway out of this, and please sympathize with us, I empathize with you, but trust me, we're going to get through this. That message needs to come across, and it needs to come across very fast. And one more thing, Parliament is the place where Nigeria is represented. And a lot of people don't like the National Assembly. There are lots of things wrong with the National Assembly, but in times like this, the place for a president to speak to his people is the National Assembly. A joint session of the National Assembly is overdue for the president to address Nigerians and tell us, this is the situation, and I will work with your representatives in Parliament to get something going. This is the time to bring an end to the fight between the executive and the legislature. All our leaders now need to work together. The country is at crossroads.
You just mentioned one very interesting and intriguing part of the whole scenario, the leadership crisis. Of course, the National Assembly is battling with that. Both chambers, there seems to be some leadership issues, and one will be wondering how this will play out. But to wrap the conversation around the economy and the Buhari government policies is the fact that the year is running to an end, and usually when people close their books for the year, a lot of things happen. There's a slow in transaction. People are not spending as much because the year is running to an end. As it stands, a lot of people are not spending so much because, look, Forex is at a bitter stage now. It's double what we've seen in 1 year or so. But as it stands now, one will be wondering what the government should be doing right now, because at a later stage of a recession is depression. Before we enter into that stage, what should the government be doing immediately to rescue the nation? Do you even think that we have an economic team that is formidable?
Well, the joke is that we've got a bigger press team than we've got an economic team. Now that needs, that needs to be addressed. I do think that we need all the economic thinking that we can, economic management capabilities that we can, to address the current situation. And I think every Nigerian kitchen table and every Nigerian bedroom understands that this economic situation is quite dire and difficult. Can we get out of it? I think we can. It requires a different way of doing things at different levels. We're spending too much time still, notwithstanding the recession. Our biggest single line item in public expenditure is travel and allowances. Now, that needs to change. There's a program of fiscal consolidation that's been there in public administration in the country for well over half a decade. Nobody's looking at that. It's not being implemented. We've got an inflation in public agencies that is overdue to be addressed. We've got a situation of ballooning of terrible government overheads and recurrent expenditures that's not yet been brought under control. It's true that the administration has indicated in the MTEF, the medium-term expenditure framework, that it's looking at a pathway to bring capital expenditure up and to diminish recurrent expenditure. But the fact remains that we are borrowing to service our recurrent expenditure. And so that means that all of our capex, all of our capital expenditure is borrowed. And if you're running a country in which you're borrowing to service your recurrent expenditure, you're not yet fit for purpose.
All right.
And it means that we've got to have a surgical procedure for trying to deal with that.
All right, Professor Chidi Odinkalu, I'm afraid we need to go now. Many thanks for talking to us. Former chairman of the National Human Rights Commission, Professor Chidi Odinkalu, many thanks for talking to us. We take a moment, and when we return, we shift focus and we take the controversy over the candidacy of the APC for the Edo Governorship election. That's what we're getting us talking on the program. The allegations of rigging of the primary. Who did? Find out when we return. Join us again.